Hey y'all, it's your buddy 16-Bit Gambit coming at you with another video. And today's video is part 1 of enabling local 2-player on your game. Should be fun. If it's fun when you're playing by yourself, might as well play with a friend too. So in order to make this happen, step 1 is I need to go ahead and make the character node into its own scene. So I can then make that into a template and dynamically load it using code to also load information for different players. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to expand this one right here, and I'm going to go ahead and take in the canvas layer and the timer underneath of the character, because every occurrence of a character is going to need its display. It's going to need its own timer for that cooldown functionality. So in order to account for that one inside of the code real quick, I'm going to go into the script and I'm going to clear out display and readout and cooldown timer. So display by itself, display, readout, and timer. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reconnect the timer just in case. When I did my trial run, it gave me a little bit of trouble, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Next, I'm also going to take this function right here, and once I move it underneath the character node, the timing just didn't quite work out. The display would finish loading before the character would initialize all of its variables, and so it tried to update the display before it knew what the display was. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that real quick, and I'm going to use the code call, if I can spell right, deferred. And then inside of that one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the name of that function. And that should work. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick trial run. You've already seen it before, but I want to make sure that I don't make a template out of something that's broken. So everything's working just fine. You can see the animation completing the readout. Cooldown works just fine as well. I'm happy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to X that. I'm going to save it real quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the character node itself, and I'm going to save branch as a scene. And so what that does is it makes the character on the 2D platform app a template that I can use for multiple characters on the screen at the same time. So for the name, I'm just going to call that character body 2D platformer. The name's getting kind of long, but nothing in this world is perfect. Template, save. And then later on, once I'm done with the work, I can just create an inherited node copy of that one, and any edits I make to this original template will then be applied to any of those later on copies. Okay, so as far as updates to the code are concerned, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a variable at the very top called var player. I'm going to make that one a string. And I'm going to use this string for if statements that, depending if you're player 1 or player 2, it's going to put things in different places or load different information. So also I'm going to make that one an export variable. If I click back over to the inspector after clicking on the character, you can see now that I can put a value in over here on the inspector tab. So scrolling down real quick, call deferred, P1 prefix, template, All right, and under the ready function, I'm going to throw in an if statement. If player equals b1 underscore, then first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the camera and make current the camera. Also, I'm going to say that I want the display dot position equals vector 2, and for now I'm just going to hard code it to be 3, 3. But what I can do is I can take this, and for a copy of this node that is going to house the information for player 2, I can change the coordinates for the readout so that they're not over top of each other. Okay, and then the last one is I'm going to take this character data statement right now, and then put that right here under the if statement. Cool. So next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to update the inputs. And so what that means is, in order for this same script to support either of those two nodes, I'm going to update the string that identifies which input is going to which character. So here, under handle input, I'm going to put player plus, and then the original string, which is move left, or player plus move right, player plus jump, plus run, plus attack. Cool. Okay. And I'm going to hit save real quick. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the character class, or the character's script where I've instantized already Tony. I'm going to go ahead and add another character that'll be instantized, Donnie. Yep. And I guess later on, I'll mess with the stats a little bit as far as the mods based on how fast they'll gain stats when they level up. But just so I can see a difference between them, I'm going to go ahead and set Donnie's HP as a different value. Donnie's power is a different value. I think that's all I'm going to be able to pick up as far as this one is concerned. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save real quick. And I'm going to go into project settings, input map. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up so that player 1, at least for this demonstration, is going to be WASD. And player 2 is going to be controlled with the left and the right. So for those existing inputs, I'm going to add the prefix p1 dot underscore to all those existing inputs. And I'll take a quick screen snap of that. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add those equivalents for player 2. So for move left, just going to set it to the left arrow. Move right, right arrow. Run, I'll just put it right above the existing one. Jump, right above the existing. Attack, right above the existing. So, barring any human errors or typos, that should be pretty good. Let's see. Gonna hit save real quick. Now I'm gonna go back over to the character script. And once again, this script is going to act differently right now based on this input, but this also is going to give me the opportunity to add a test input for some of the control values as well. So I'm probably going to have a little bit of fun with this one off screen, but to bring this one to a rep, so I've got the player input, character data defined here if player equals p1 underscore. Now, if player equals p2 underscore, then we're not going to make the camera current. We just want one current camera, which is going to be the player one. Although I could take a look into the dual camera setup like they used to have on Nintendo. So that could actually be in part 2 or 3. So dual camera. Let's see how to do that. All right. The location for the readout is going to be at 38, so that's going to put it a little bit lower. And this is going to load the data for Donnie. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to hit save. And the last part before I do the demo is I'm going to go over here under the file system, and I'm going to right click inside of the scenes folder, new inherited scene. And I'm going to save this one with basically the same name, but I'm going to add Donnie at the end of it. Template, Donnie. All right. So now I'm going to go over to the 2D mode so I can see the setup real quick. And I'm going to go back to the map platformer for a second. And I'm going to go editable children. So here, it's got the canvas layer, but it's missing the timer. No, the timer's up there. So if I go back here, canvas layer timer. All right, cool. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to turn off editable children. That's fine. Hit save. And then for Donnie real quick, I'm going to click on map display, editable children. I'm going to click on this sprite right here. I'm going to switch that out from Tony's sprite to Donnie's sprite. So map icons. I'm going to throw Donnie on there. Cool. So we got the timer, got the readout, got the controls. Let's take a look at that script one more time. So if you would take note that I'm inside of this copy of this node, this inherited version of it, but it doesn't have its own script right now. All character nodes that are inheriting from that original one go to the original character script. And that's going to happen until you separate that connection and create its own script if you want to do that. So for now, until I get too deep into the weeds and the code gets too strong, I'm just going to handle it with if statements. But since I'm in the script, controls. I already got player. That's all good. Actually, I think I'm ready to go ahead and hit play for video 1. So I'm going to go to project. I'm going to go general and window. Hey y'all, I'm back from a little bit of a stop. I had to restart the project. Strangest thing happened. When I was running it last, all of a sudden under project settings, I couldn't access mode for display windows, so I couldn't set it to maximized. And I'm sure, once again, it's a user error, but I was going crazy. Anyway, so to bring it all together, I realized there's one last thing I gotta do. We're all saved. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to drag in the second occurrence of a character in the map, but this time it's going to be with the Donnie information, and we're able to tell because the values that are inside the display are going to be different. And then player 1, I'm going to drag over to the left side of the screen. Player 2 is going to be right here starting off. Going to hit save, and fingers crossed, first time. It worked. Or at least for part 1 it worked. So now I'm going to control the dude on the left. I'm going to attack, I'm going to jump, I'm going to run, jump back up there, attack. Now I'm going to control the dude in the middle. So there you go. Local 2 player. Or at least part 1 anyway. The reason why I got this broken up, at least in 2 different videos, is what we're going to do next, which is we're going to be faced with a decision. So the decision we're going to be faced with is this. It's going to be the animation player. Because right now, if I have the inherited scene, even though it's a separate scene, if I edit that animation player or change an existing animation, then it will occur in both instances of that node, both the inherited and the original. So one option is to completely rebuild the animation player in the other node. Another option is to add a prefix to the animations, very similar to what we did with the inputs. And where with the inputs we got player, we could create a prefix to the animations that would have the character name. And so I'll just have to rename all the existing ones as Tony and then name the new ones as Donnie. Plus a few other things in the next video. But either way, I hope you found this first one to be informative. Maybe you'll take the opportunity to set up local 2 players so you can play a game with a friend. If you got any questions, comments, complaints, criticisms, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to get back to you. Otherwise, y'all take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.